But we also have seen former presidents who were minister of petroleum.
That in itself is also wrong. But you see the whole system, the way it works is that you find out that the president himself also feels that, okay, fine, let me be the minister of petroleum. Because the president also is already anticipating that it's possible for corrupt practices, let me be able to oversee it. Obasanjo was also the minister of petroleum. President Buhari, minister of petroleum. The things in the presidency are just too much for the president to also now go and oversee the Ministry of Petroleum. And now look at the Ministry of the NNPC board. You also have the Chief of Staff to the President on the board of NNPC. So if the Chief of Staff to the President is also on the board of NNPC, the Minister is also on the board of NNPC, what you are going to have is you are going to have several conflicts of interest.
But I'm just wondering, how does insubordination come in here if the COS is a member of the board, the Minister of State has been trying to see the President, as he said in that letter, and not been able to see him, and the President has said didn't call for him at that time. Does that then mean that, well, maybe the executive are aware of what's going on and they don't need to see him insofar as the GMD is carrying out those roles?
I think I'll look at myself, okay, as a worker. Take, for example, from the memo the minister also wrote is, okay, I'm calling for a meeting and you are not going to come for the meeting. You send somebody who's your junior and no courtesy to put a call to me to say, I can't come for this meeting because I have other engagements. And so that may amount to insubordination, which the minister is feeling. But I want to emphasize on one thing, is that the political elite, those who are supposed to oversee NNPC, are also those who have undermined NNPC, undermined the institution, that what you now have, that you now have the tail now wagging the dog. You know, I'll give you an example. There was a time I don't want to mention the name of the GMD, and then we were in a meeting and a call came in. One-on-one meeting in his office, and a call came in, former GMD, and a call came in. It was one of those, a wife of one of a very powerful person in one of the high institutions in the country, one of Oga at the top, the wife. But what I'm talking about now is not the president or the president's wife then, but what you have now was that, okay, can you give me 10 metric tons? The man is saying, we've already given 10 metric, no, make it 20 metric tons. And you see the pressure being put on the GMD of NNPC at that time. So you see, there are several interference in how NNPC works. And in the process of all of that, you now have people inside of NNPC also taking advantage of it.
But we keep talking about reforms, and I mean, several GMDs and several ministers have come and have talked about reforms in the NNPC, restructuring and rearrangements, redeployment. Are they not, is it that they're not working out in any way?
They're not.
Or we're always going back to the same old, same old?
Yes, the first thing is, I think that is one thing I've also noticed. Everybody comes in and they say the things you want to hear. So when they say the things you want to hear, are they actually practicing what they say? Because one of the things, just like what Mumini was saying from Abuja, is that this president is respected by Nigerians because no matter what you say, Nigerians believe this president is not corrupt. So this president has that as an advantage. And the president needs to take advantage of that equity because he needs to look at the NNPC for one, because I've always said it, that if we're able to solve the problem of NNPC, we'll be solving about 40% of Nigerians' problem. From fuel subsidy to crude oil daily sales, all of these are within NNPC. And you can even also look at, if you go to NNPC, you go to NAT, you go to PPPR, you go around, there's nobody that will give you the accurate figure of how many million barrels a day that we produce. Nobody. So you have all of these institutions disagreeing. So at the end of the day, you find out that it's not working because the processes, one, is not followed, two, nobody is accountable, three, nobody is responsible.
Okay, so we heard this, the letter of the Minister of State, which was leaked, and the ministry also reacted that it's not supposed to have come out to the public. I mean, it's a confidential memo between the minister and the Minister of State and the minister, who is the president in this case. So that's not even supposed to come out. But the other side of it is also, this has also led to some other things opening up about some monies that are not remitted to the TSA account from the NNPC. How transparent can the NNPC be in this administration?
I think the ball right now is in the court of the president to decide what he wants to do with NNPC in line with his anti-corruption rules or what he wants to achieve. So if you now look at how transparent in NNPC has always been opaque. The financials of NNPC have always been opaque. NNPC has always been, the more you look, the less you see. So if you look at the various audits of NNPC, I think when Kachuku came on board, the first thing was that we were not seeing NNPC account. It was not coming up on a monthly basis. I keep emphasizing on process. And when you have a process in place in any organization, make sure it is followed. And if that process is not respected, then heads has to roll. Somebody has to lose his job for it. And then what you are not doing is that you are not sending a message to others that this administration will not condone such acts. That for me is key.
These panels set up by the Senate, maybe we'll get to hear from the House if they'll follow suit. Are you optimistic that at the end of the day, they'll sort this out?
One of the things I would like to say about this is let's hope that this one will be different. We've had several times where the Senate, the National Assembly have invited the then Minister of Petroleum, Desani. The then Minister of Petroleum, and each time we hear the Senate is blowing fire, and then we are all looking forward to it, and suddenly you find out that the day the minister appears, even those who are supposed to investigate the minister are ready to get up from their seat for the minister to sit. And then you start wondering, what was all this about? So is it just, are we just acting drama, or we really want to get to the bottom of the whole thing? Because if they actually want to get to the bottom, then fine. But right now I'm going to sit on the fence and watch what the National Assembly is going to come up with. In the first place, to have something like this happen is also a failure of oversight by the National Assembly. Yes, in the first place. So what they are trying to do now is let's hope that they also redeem themselves by all of this. Is a failure of various state institutions for something like this to happen. And it also tells you about the weakness of our laws, the weakness of our rules, and our values. Because if you run an organization, you know that this is what is expected, this is what is documented in the organization, you are expected to follow it through. If it's in the private sector by now, you either quit or you have been fired, or you will have been fired. You know, so those are some of the things. For me, when it comes to National Assembly, I just, as late Bola Ige will say, sit down, look.